Tesla reporting third quarter deliveries today, just under 463,000 and up about 6% year over year. This coming against the backdrop of an auto industry that has been struggling. We've seen sales reports from Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis all come in weak as well, not to mention a bunch of European automakers cutting their forecasts. For more on the state of autos, we're bringing in Tom Narayan, lead equity analyst of global autos at RBC Capital Markets. He's here in the studio with us, which is exciting. Good to see you, Tom. Let's talk about Tesla first of all here, because these deliveries were kind of meh, right? But does it even matter? Is everybody just waiting for the Robotaxi?
Yeah, I don't actually think it matters. Frankly, I thought they were kind of boring. They came in really in line.
You don't say that about Tesla very often.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty well telegraphed. We knew the July and August numbers for all the countries. We're missing September. We had the China insurance numbers. We knew Europe would be bad because of tariffs, et cetera. So the US was the missing piece of it. We knew they cut pricing, but didn't expect the quote unquote whisper number to be as high as it was. For the stock to be down 3.5%, what is that, like $30 billion on something like this seems kind of odd. I think most folks are just trading into the Robotaxi event. They already traded up into it. Maybe there's some profit taking. I think that's what's happening.
Do you think, Tom, they Musk can hit that full delivery consensus for the year, full year?
Maybe not. I still forecast it coming down year over year, but consensus is also down. But I think that's less kind of important. Car business for me is less, like 5% of my valuation, right? They need to sell cars to sell FSD and everything else. But I think folks are going to start looking at the bottom line more on gross profit. You're going to have regulatory credits, which surprised a lot of people last quarter. It's going to be good this quarter again and next year. And energy storage. People are finally talking about this. We saw the number that they printed today. It wasn't as good as last quarter, but way bigger than the run rate of last year. So I think folks are going to stop looking at the delivery numbers so carefully and start looking at gross profit, and it's going to look pretty good.
And what about this Robotaxi event, right? Because we know the event's happening. We don't really know what they're going to say. We certainly don't know what the timeline is going to be of this thing. And the company has really, and Elon Musk has placed a lot of importance on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's half of my entire valuation, as you know. I'm a big believer in the Robotaxi concept. The difference, though, between this event and what they held in a Power Day a few years ago, where the stock was up quite a bit, is Power Day was more real now, whereas I think Robotaxis are a little bit farther away. That's why I think it might be difficult to get crazy excited, at least a stock to react the way it will be. I think it did into it. But I do think you'll get a lot of people like me writing big reports finally with real numbers and putting it in their models. That might help. But again, this is far into the future, so I just don't know how much it's going to impact.
Here's my question. Why is it so far into the future? We've got Waymo on the streets of cities now that are driving around without anybody in the driver's seat. Why is Tesla taking so long?
Well, I mean, how many Waymos are really on the street?
No, there aren't that many, but the technology is working.
Yeah, I don't think it's really a technology issue. It's more of a regulatory issue. We all saw what happened with GM Cruise having to pull away and now starting to tip their toe back in. Cities are going to have to completely re-engineer themselves. I mean, try putting a Robotaxi in the Champs-Élysées. I don't know if you've been driven there. It's nuts.
The roundabout, yeah.
It's a very human-driven thing. Let's put it that way. You're making decisions all the time. And so it's going to take a while for regulators to be okay with that. I mean, maybe in China they'll be okay with, 1,000 deaths for every 30,000 non-Robotaxi deaths. But in the US, in Europe, it's very difficult to make that argument that, well, less of you died, So I do think that from a regulatory perspective, it's going to take a long, long time.
What about, can I just get a quick take on the Cybertruck and what you're seeing there, Tom? I know it's small compared to Model 3 and Y, but what we're seeing and what you expect to see ahead, just anecdotally, I see them on the road.
Yeah, especially where we are now, right? I think it's more of a halo type car. They were trying to reinvigorate the brand. It is using 4680 cells. There's a lot of innovation in there. Now, as really having an impact on financials and volumes, I don't think it's a real game changer. If anything, they're losing money on it. But it is trying to get excitement back into the brand, which maybe they lost a little, right, compared to where they were. But really, ultimately, it's a halo car. right? That hopefully lifts their brand.